Greek Cypriot National Guard occupied the Turkish quarter of Larnaca. It followed a day of severe fighting. Since then, they've held the Turks in a tight grip and detained several hundred men of fighting age in the Greek sector of the port. 150 National Guardsmen captured the Turkish barracks and painted on its walls, "Long live Greece" and "Enesis with Greece." Today they were back in their buses waiting for the United Nations to take over the Turkish sector. The National Guard has now withdrawn from 7 Turkish enclaves on the island as part of the first Geneva Declaration, but it still leaves dozens in their hands. At the prearranged time, Austrian UN troops moved in and the National Guard moved out in their antiquated transport. They took with them the Turkish weapons and military equipment, though they denied that they had looted civilian property. Most of the 2,000 Turks left in Larnaca, who'd stayed indoors during the National Guard occupation, came onto the streets to watch them go. The UN immediately sent foot patrols around the narrow streets to remind the Turks that they were in charge now. The area is severely damaged by bullets and shells. The local doctor and MP showed me his hospital. As the UN troops patrolled the streets, there was a passive response from the local people. Mobile National Guard patrols were still in the area, contrary to the agreement. But the UN made it clear to them that they were now out of bounds.
Gentlemen, since 9:30 in the morning, there should be no National Guard in. So
Okay, I will see.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, but
Okay.
this must be reported.
Okay, sir.
The 700 Turks held by the Greeks are detained in a school 3 miles away. They complain the food is inadequate and the conditions insanitary. The UN are keeping an eye on them and hope that they will be among the first batch of civilian prisoners to be exchanged. The first Turkish military prisoners captured by the Greek Cypriots were handed over on the Green Line in Nicosia at midnight. The Cyprus government said it was a gesture of goodwill and they returned 13 soldiers, one of them wounded. 3 of them, a colonel and 2 NCOs, were said to have been captured in civilian clothes driving a private car behind the Greek Cypriot lines. But again, as a gesture, the National Guard said they had been treated as prisoners of war and not as spies. All 13 were transferred into a coach for Kyrenia to be returned to the Turkish mainland. The United Nations and the Red Cross now hope that with this first sign of goodwill, the 450 Greek and Greek Cypriot prisoners and more than 3,000 Turkish prisoners will soon be free to return home.